All right, guys, welcome everybody to another episode of BDC RX. Once again, we have a great guest today, and I'm excited to really dive into all parts BDC as we do. Before we get to the guest, Jason, how's everything going this week?
Everything's going good, man. The car industry seems to be flowing. I think summertime's over. People are coming in for oil changes, servicing cars. It looks like people are getting ready. Interest rates have lowered, not by crazy points. It was the 0.25%, but it feels like the car industry's interest rates have dropped like 3 or 4%. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. So overall, I think the car industry is getting into a really good spot. So I'm doing good.
Yeah, so for all of the guests that are watching, as we record this, and we tend to record a few weeks in advance, just so everybody knows, we've just ended the end of month of September, so we're going into the fourth quarter, just started October. So a lot of what we're talking about will be tied to that time frame and ending the overall month and ending the overall quarter as well. And so to jump into that, JD, we have JD. JD is an Internet Director, BDC manager I think right now you have 4 stores that you oversee in a very prominent group based in the southeast part of the country. JD,
Yes,
how
sir.
are you doing today, buddy?
Listen, I'm doing well, man. Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for having me on. I love what you guys are doing. I wish this would have been around a year and a half ago when I got back into the car industry
That's
and
good, bro.
I had the words of wisdom and all of those little gems that you guys are dropping back then for sure, man. So thank y'all for what you're doing and thank you for having me.
No
Thank you,
problem,
man. I
man.
appreciate you jumping on. And yeah, it's when came up with the idea, I was surprised to see there being such a gap in this knowledge being out there. And, you know, when I originally started with Sean and then shifted over with Jason, being able to provide the experience that we've all learned along the way, including yourself, JD, I thought was just a great way to give back to an industry that's given me so much. I know it's given Jason so much, and JD, we'll learn more about your story, but I also know it's given you so much. So let's jump into the story. Tell us about kind of how was your introduction into the automotive space? Almost everybody's story is very similar, but I'd love to hear yours. And then tell us kind of how you got to where you are today and what you're doing.
Gotcha. So I'm going to start by saying this. I came from a very non-traditional route to end up back here in the car business. So my very first job was selling cars from a little dealership down in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It's referred to as Crime Bluff. It's like the crime capital of the world per capita. So it's like I started there. That was my very first job. And I knew that I loved it. And it was just the hustle and bustle of it all. I was a young kid. I was like, man, I'm making a lot of money and I'm also able to help people in the process. And I started in a time where it was, it was just eBay eBay Motors was like the only
Wow.
source of leads at the time. And also I started at a time when you brought that deal up to the desk and that piece of paper wasn't heavy enough, you might get like kicked out of the sales tower. You know what I mean? So it was a much different time. But the thing is that I started there. I did very well. And then I moved to the northwest part of the state, which is Fayetteville, Bentonville, where Walmart and all of those home offices and stuff are. So during that time, I became an internet manager. We didn't have a BDC department. I mean, salespeople fielded the calls. There weren't too many leads, but the leads that we did get, we worked them. Right. And during this time, I did exceptionally well for the dealership family that I was working for at the time. And the thing is that going back to what I was saying, I was a young kid. At this point, I was working like 50 to 60 hours a week. And I was like, man, this isn't I can't do this. I was living in the land of milk and honey. And I was like, I can't even go out and enjoy all of this, like all of the fruits of my labor because I'm too busy working. So I ended up leaving the car business. To make a long story short, I joined the military. I did, contract in the military as an airborne ranger. After that, I got into digital marketing. I worked with some guys. Some of my friends were working for startup companies. Worked for a startup company for a little while out in Los Angeles. I worked for companies like Merkle, which was a big digital marketing, a bunch of email stuff. And then I worked for Walmart as a marketing project manager. Whenever, you remember a few years back, whenever like all of the self-checkouts changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was the marketing project manager for that. Like When all of
Mm.
that happened, like I was in charge of all of it. I was brought like a blank slate and I was told, hey, we need to figure this out. And sure enough, we ended up working with several teams and figuring those things out. Got a few degrees along the way and ended up, after my time with Walmart, I was like, man, I need to do something. I want to work for myself. So I created a marketing software and it was just basically it was a lead scoring system. And I used AI to create it. But this lead scoring system was it worked very well if you put in the right data. And
Mm.
I believe that whenever I took it to the organization that I work for now, it was kind of like, hey, listen, we don't really need this, but with your background, we want you. We need to get you in some shape, form, or fashion because we're kind of dwindling and we need to pull some things out of the mud. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I ended up back in BDC. And I think that I've been doing very well so far, averaging probably across the 4 stores. I'm averaging anywhere between a 22 and 25% closing ratio on internet leads. We stay about 45% on phone leads. We run a lean, mean BDC team, and we have a much larger internet department at each of those stores.
I want to jump in and ask you a question,
Yes, sir.
JD. And for the people that are out there that are watching this, marketing is a big deal when it comes to BDC. Okay. People just think that you just out of the box, call an opportunity, the dealership pays for it, do what you got to do. But sometimes it's like knowing where the lead comes from, knowing how it is to create a lead, how hard it is to create a lead. You have a sense of like, yo, every lead that's in front of me is actually really valuable. How has the marketing aspect helped you become a better BDC director? Because there has to be similarities that have gave birth to more ideas in what you're doing. Well, what are some of the things that you believe that the marketing side has given birth to in the BDC section of it all?
Definitely. So, listen, I'll start by saying this. With my marketing background, I've been blessed with the opportunity to control the ad spend of our stores. So I work
Mm.
directly with our marketing team. We have a third party marketer and I get to I say, hey, we need to spend here, we need to spend here because of my knowledge of data analytics and things along that nature. I have the opportunity to really control how, when, where we spend our dime. You know what I mean?
That's really
But
good.
yeah, it is. It's amazing and it drives results. I will say this. I know from my perspective is that you can't have one without the other. It is a double-edged sword. I can spend all the money to get all the leads, but if I don't have anybody to call them or get in contact with them or talk to them the right way, then it's pointless. You know what I mean? So I have it down to a science to where I can put a dollar amount on each lead from each individual provider that we have. We run 7 right now that are feeding us leads. Some are better than others. But at the end of the day, I know because of my marketing nature, I
Mm-hmm.
now know that like, hey, this is how I need to talk to this customer. This is how I need to talk to this customer. Usually based on where they come from determines our cadence. So
Right.
it gets much deeper than just being able to say that like, oh yeah, I got a lead to come in. I know that if I get a cars.com lead, then 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a long lead for me. We're going to be
Yeah.
looking at 60 to 75 days on getting them sold. If I get I think I said cars.com, if I get a car guru's lead, listen, I might be able to sell them tomorrow, or my team may be able to sell them tomorrow. But it's just the fact of understanding how to communicate and understand what we're saying to these people before we even have the opportunity to talk to them.
So
About. Mhm.
I would love to know a little bit deeper on that, Jason. Hopefully, maybe this is the direction you were going to. So, for our audience, I mean, our audience is, has different levels, but it sounds like you, as you said, you've got the marketing approach customizes the cadence in which you run. I assume it customizes the thought process and how you handle that lead and even the messaging. For instance, I know if I get a car guru lead, I'm probably know that customer is going to be quite a bit more cost conscious because of the way car gurus markets good deal, great deal, those types of things. And customers on there are kind of trained to do that. What would you say is your 1 or 2 best lead sources in regards to how well you do with them, and what is the different approach that you might take between 1 and 2?
So I will say, to be 100% honest with you, our best leads are coming in from our social media engagement. And that was a huge,
Really?
yes, very much so. And it is because we switched from a mindset of like, all right, let me just put this car in front of somebody and let me just take this OEM picture of a Nissan Altima or a Ford F-150 or whatever the case is. We got away from that and we went into the mindset of searching for engagement, not only searching for engagement, but education and entertainment. So those are the three spaces that we got really deep into. So you mentioned like the cars.com, the Car Gurus lead, right? And how they do good deal, best deal, better deal, whatever the case may be is, right? We did an education piece on that for our shoppers that may be shopping through, and it was like, hey, listen, it's showing here on cars.com and it's showing a great deal. It's showing on Car Gurus that it's an okay deal, and it's showing here that it's going to be, a bad deal on the next site. So educating customers that each one of these sites is going to give you something different based on their algorithm and how they present that thing. Just that social media post alone drew people into us. So our best leads are coming from the engagement that we're throwing out there to our customers. And we're not just like talking cars. There's a bunch of funny stuff on our sites too. We get a lot of good leads from those, but social media has been killing it for us lately. The other thing that I will say that is doing very well for us right now is just our website in general. Like we are like our paid social media ads are doing very well. But the thing is that there's a difference between the two. And even though they're both coming from social media, I know somebody that's coming from a paid ad that is being pushed to our website compared to somebody that is on an organic lead and is coming from our website. The organic person wants to talk to somebody specifically. They want to say, hey, I saw JD in the commercial and I want to talk to him about, a car that I saw online, blah, blah, blah. The car that he was laying on top of, the Armada or the 50 that he was laying on top of in that social media video. I want to talk to him about that one. But the people that are on our paid ads, it's a much different approach because it's a lot more business. It's a lot more like they have done the research and something made them click on that paid ad. Be it a rebate, be it a special that we're running at the time, or if it's just an inventory special that we're running. But something made them say that, hey, this is what I need. Whereas somebody coming from the organic side of things is like, okay, you have more questions, or you just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
So let me ask you a question. A lot of these things, and for me, we have a different way that we train people. The way that you're detailed, the way that you're talking, I know that you know all this, right? My question would be, how long is the training for you for an agent to get on the phone? Now, do you just kind of throw them out there? Hey, figure it out, get the marbles out. We'll give you later day opportunities so you can kind of fumble through those. Obviously, the fresher opportunities are for the better people. Or are you going through like a long, vigorous training with them? Because for me, when you're saying this, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, this is really good stuff. I don't train. The stuff that I would say my team knows half. And what I mean by that would be is the amount of information they know on a lead, right? We know a Car Gurus, so we know that it could be a used car, the very good deal. Hey, we know that's going to be based on pricing. Yeah, we do that. But when you're talking about where the lead comes from, like organic or paid, are you actually telling the agents this stuff? And if you are, how would you train them?
Listen, I love this question. Thank you very much, because this is gonna take a deep dive into where I shine. All right.
Okay.
So I am a tech guy. I believe in systems. I believe in technology.
Mm.
I can have one conversation with somebody and I can know if they're going to be good at BDC because I know people. But I trust technology more than I trust people most of the time. So let me explain this to you. We use a system called Car Wars, right? Have you guys heard of Car Wars before?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So Car Wars is beautiful. I love it. It's not all the way there, but it's getting there, like most AI systems out there. The thing is, I have trained all of our AI models to be very, very specific. And we didn't talk about this, or we hadn't touched on it yet, but I only have one BDC agent in each of the stores, right? So I have an internet team, but I only have one BDC agent in each one of those stores. The way that I operate is that I have trained our AI model within Car Wars, because I get Car Wars and Car Now confused, but within Car Wars, to have trigger words, right? So the moment that somebody starts talking about, trade in or appointments or can I get by today, I want my BDC agent to get the person in. I want my BDC person to build rapport. I want my BDC person to set up my sales rep whenever they do get around to that. But I've trained my AI models to send alerts to my BDC agents to say, hey, you hear this word, get it to a salesperson immediately. Get it transferred. We have hot words. And even if our systems are down, I've got a list of hot words. Hey, you hear this? Find somebody immediately, because you're not here to sell a car as a BDC agent. You are here to sell an appointment, to get somebody through the door, to build some rapport, to make people that feel good feeling, right? So we talk about training. And this is for my internet salespeople and for my BDC department as well. I dive fully into the whole concept of artificial intelligence and AI and machine learning and all of those things. And when I say that, I'm not talking about some $10,000 a month system that a company can go and buy. What I am talking about is teaching an individual salesperson how to prompt generative AI like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever the case may be, something that costs $20 a month for the pro model. Most of this stuff you can do for free, but I train people on how to use systems. If you train people on how to use systems, then you can take that system and you can scale it. So my idea and how I ended up where I am, from like going from 1 store, 2 stores, 3 stores to 4 stores, is the fact that I was able to take something super simple that was able to train and then be able to scale it on a much larger basis. Because the thing is that I don't know what questions you need to ask me while I'm training you. But the thing is that we know within human nature that I may not ask all the questions because I'm embarrassed, or because, hey, I should know this, or whatever the case is. But what I do know is that if I teach you how to talk to this program the right way, you can ask all of the questions and train yourself. Because whenever you get to a generative AI system, it's your best salesperson. But not only is it your best salesperson, the brain of your best salesperson, because AI can't sell cars, let's be clear about that. But it's the brain of your best salesperson, except it's read every OEM manual that's out there. It knows all the rebates, government incentives, anything that may be out there when we get to EVs and things like that. It knows anything that it could ever know. All you need to know is how to ask the question the right way.
Yeah. I mean, the prompting is key there, right? I mean, that's the big thing, how to ask the right questions to get the right answer. And to that point, I mean, I would tell you that our team switched to, I would say, over 90% of our emails that our BDC team is sending are all being created through ChatGPT. So if it comes in on any used model, then we're using ChatGPT to generate those personalized custom emails based off of the prompting like you just mentioned. Now, our new model ones, we've kind of already got templated scripting that we've already built out and established with the leverage of AI, but we're using the same ones. But on all used inventory, where the features, the models, the model type, all those things can change, and leveraging in all of the incentives that are available in the store, in the state, and those types of things. We have switched to that, and we've seen a significantly better engagement from the customers in that process. Jason, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think so JD, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Looking at because we obviously got data before we spoke, and you are a unicorn. I was wondering why that was put there, like in the notes that we have. And you definitely are. You've intrigued me, and I hope that people that are watching are intrigued of what JD's talking about. And what JD really is talking about is, let's just call it the future of what most BDCs might actually look like. Now, JD, I'm not saying that your process is perfect, and I'm not here to shoot or put a bullet in it or put a hole in it and make it Swiss cheese, because it sounds very good from the sounds, right? I would love to hear more details about how it functions. I guess me and you could go off the screen for that one, but I'm very curious. So let me just ask more AI questions. And for everyone that's watching, we usually talk about more people, salespeople, how to attack the lead, cadence of stuff. Let's just keep divulging straight into what the AI is. So I guess my question would be, do you ever see a day where a human is not sitting in that seat and it's fully functional AI talking to building and I even mean calling AI over the phone, voice over phone, things of that nature. What is your thoughts on the future of the car industry, since you're kind of walking in the future now?
Okay. Let's talk about the present first, and then talk about what I see in the future. Right. So to answer your question, especially the phone question and the calls, right? What I have experienced is that a person talking is going to, like, a human, a warm body talking to somebody is always going to be better. As of right now, with the customer base that we have, with the people that are buying cars, in this time and day and era that we're in, we are like a warm body is needed, right? There is going to come a time, and I am 100%, like, I'm not going to say 100%, but I'm about 75% sure where phone sales will be obsolete. Like, it is going to be a time where, because, like, take for instance, my wife, she won't even pick up the phone to like call the school to let them know that, like, hey, call the junior high to be like, hey, we're coming to pick up our daughter today. She's sending an email or she's sending a text message. And that's the way that like communication is going to start moving. Like, I see it as like in the future of AI and the future of the automotive industry and all of these things, I think there's always going to be a need for a warm body. The question
Yeah.
is, in what capacity? The
Mm.
question that we should be asking is how are we going to be looking at this? Because think about it. Amazon is about to start selling cars. Amazon is already selling cars, right?
Hmm.
So, me personally, I'm in the land of Walmart. I hate going to Walmart. So, if I can get online and I can order the milk, eggs, and bread that I need, why am I gonna go and I'm gonna look at Billy Joe and Betty Jean in their pajamas, like in their dirty house shoes, when I can just have it delivered to my house?
You a trip for that. You know that, right? Okay, you keep
Like,
going. You a
I've
trip for
been
that.
saying this for years, JD. I don't think that the consumer is not willing to buy a car online or willing to buy a
definitely.
car virtually. I think that the industry has restricted the ability for consumers to be trained in that direction. And as
Yes.
soon as somebody like Amazon comes in and says, let's take all the headache, the hassle, the confusion of going into a store and having to deal with a car salesman, which we know the inherent thing that people have in this industry is that consumers tend to not trust car salesmen at a high rate, is when somebody does a really good marketing push around changing the approach. I think of what you said earlier, when Walmart introduced the stop waiting in line and do the self-checkout, there was a marketing strategy that you were a part of or ran that changed the perspective around save your time, do self-checkout. And
Yes.
when Amazon puts that money they have around teaching the consumer base to buy virtually, the consumers will naturally gravitate. We already have a tested model with what's the name of the company that does it now? They do all the virtual sales with the vending machines.
Carvana.
Carvana, right. Carvana already kind of tested it, but without the marketing push that somebody like Amazon will do. What I do think is interesting is that you anticipate even before then that the phone sales side will become obsolete. That's something I've not heard anybody else say. Did I hear you correctly? You think that before we get to virtual selling that the phone sales will come obsolete. Is that what you said?
Yes, yes. And here's my theory behind it. The generation, like, so I'm a millennial, right? So we got generation Y, X, Z. I'm not sure which one we're on. I don't keep up with it, don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I know that, do y'all have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all have like teenage kids? Either one of
Not
y'all have a
yet.
teenager?
Neither of
They're
us
not.
yet.
Well, I got a 9-year-old.
Okay, gotcha. So I got a teenager, right? My teenager doesn't even have her voicemail set up. My teenager, you call her, she texts you back, "What's up? What do you need? What's going on?" This is the way that this next generation communicates. If I can't buy it online, I don't want to buy it. If I have to go somewhere, I'm not going to purchase it. If I have to like go in and spend my effort and my time and it's a microwave generation. We talked about it. The instant gratification to just be able to say that, like, okay, this is what I want. I don't want the hubbub. Now, what I will say is, I don't see that I don't even see that in the next like 10 years, 15,
Oh, see, I do.
maybe
I
20.
do.
We're talking down the road further than this, because we still got, my dad is going to buy another car before he dies. You know what I mean? He's
Hmm.
67. He's going to buy another one. He's not buying it on his phone. He's going to research it on his phone, but he's not going to like get on his computer. He's not going to put a credit app in online. He's going to call the store and he's going to say, "Hey, I'm looking at this." He's not even going to put in a lead. He's going to call the store while he's online and he's going to say, "Hey, listen, I see this 2027 high country that's sitting on the lot. I want to come and buy it."
Well, JD,
So
think of one step further in that, and we could know of two different things that came out in the past 6 months. iPhone just came out with the new technology in their phone that makes you have to go through a filtration system to even get to the person who's going to answer, every
definitely,
iPhone user.
yes.
That's going to restrict and limit that. Well, you got states like the state of Texas, in which I live, in that if you get caught doing an outbound call to somebody who's on a do not call list, there's a massive fine. So that also will create it to where it makes it more complicated to do outbound sales. Now, I do agree with the premise that there still needs to be phone ninjas and people who are really good on the phone to be able to handle the inbound stuff. And I think that the marketing strategy and the outbound strategy will be driven more to get more inbound calls. But the outbound side of it will become more and more complicated for stores and for businesses in general, whether we're going against the technology, whether we're going against the advancements of how people use the technology, or whether we're going against the lawmakers putting other restrictions in place that could cause you to do that. Now, one would make the argument if somebody submitted a lead, then them being on a do not call list wouldn't be relevant, but it doesn't necessarily mean there might not be a next step that goes past what has just been put in place in a state like Texas into other places. Jason, what are your thoughts on all
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I'm gonna go back to like kind of the first thing we're talking about. I think AutoNation has already tried to do what Amazon, I guess what JD was saying Amazon might do, or what would be a model, right? So what happened is that AutoNation had a program where they were just selling cars, and if the lead came in, they would call the customer and say it's an at-home buying program, whatever. They just started off with an at-home buying program. I don't know if they still do it. I don't know how good it was. I don't see it today as more prominent. I do believe people are going to start buying cars more from more on the phone.
I believe that that technology will never replace people, right? But I will say that learning how to use these technologies that are available, this is something that needs to happen now. If you as a car dealership are not training your users on this technology of AI. And again, I'm not talking about the system that's going to go out and send the text messages, or I'm not talking about the system that's going to make the calls or do all of these things. I'm talking about teaching these people how to be as quick as possible with the best information possible and learning how to talk to these machines so that you can get ahead, because everyone is using some form of AI. Just like take this thought for instance. At one point, the Razor cell phone was the best cell
Yeah.
phone out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the crazer was next
So
after that.
yeah. So but the thing is that if you use your Razor from 2007, if you open that up, power it up, and try to take it to AT&T, they're going to tell you it doesn't work. Why are they going to tell you that it doesn't work? They're going to tell you it doesn't work because the technology within that does not communicate with the technology that is readily available now. What is going to happen is that these AI systems, they already are, but these AI systems are going to start talking to one another, and they are going to have a language that they communicate in. So right now, if you go to ChatGPT and you change your resume and upload it somewhere, it has little watermarks in there that you can't see.
Mm.
They're non-existent to the human eye. But there are systems that can pick it up and say, another AI system can pick it up and say, hey, listen, this was written by ChatGPT. But the thing is that it's going to become a point where all of these technologies talk to one another.
Right.
So I need to know that my technology is able to talk to your technology that's saying that, like, hey, I need to bypass this iPhone setting to say that, like,
Mm.
hey, I need to get through here to be able to talk to this customer and send them a text message or give them a call or whatever the case may be. And that's what it's going to go to. And it's going to be the boots on the ground that figure those things out, compared to the big company that's like, oh yeah, we got the next big AI system. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, and when I hear you say that, JD, I hear you talking about adaptability, and I hear you talking about whatever environment we're in, you have to be able to adapt to it. And one of the other things that I wrote down when you were going through your story is, JD, man, your story is so impressive. And I would say the most impressive thing about your story is that it seems like you adapted to every environment you were in with a level of success. And so when you started in the car dealership world, you were making money, you shifted to the military, then you work in digital marketing, and that I assume assume what you learn in the car business carried on in the next sector. Then what you learn in the military is carried with you from that next day. What you learn in the digital marketing world is still helping you today. And then you created a software that lets you kind of learn from what you had learned in the marketing side and maybe the dealership side to do the grading system. I mean, all of that brought you to where you are today, and you're using all of those learned experience to be able to be an exceptional operator in the current role you are. I mean, let's not gloss over the numbers. You said you have over a 23% close rate on internet leads. That's crazy. That's about double the internet lead closing rate the average dealership has on internet leads. You said you have over a 45% phone up closing rate. All of those says that JD, in every environment you've been a winner. And I think that likely what that comes is adaptability. For some of the people that are watching that are earlier in their career, what do you think makes you so unique that wherever you are, you're able to adapt to what is needed to be able to find success in those places?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. Number one, I'm highly competitive. Listen, I hate to lose more than I love to win. So if there's somebody out there better than me, I gotta figure out how to get better or learn from them to say that, like, okay, they're doing this, this, and this. What can I do to make myself better? Right. I think another thing that I was, and I mentioned it earlier, I said, jokingly, like, I'll trust technology over, over people most of the time. The thing is that technology is a bunch of ones and zeros. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Right. I know that there's a set of data out there somewhere. And this conversation, another conversation, the number of leaves on the ground as I walk into the dealership, those are all data points. The thing is that there's some information out there for me to learn and apply it to whatever it is that I'm doing now. So we just went down that whole long AI, technology rabbit hole or whatever the case may be. The thing is that all of these things that I'm doing with the technology that I work with and AI and teaching my team and my dealerships and my organization how to do all of this stuff, none of it is for cars. None of it was applied to car dealerships. And it's just finding the information and making it work for you and whatever your situation may be. I think that is a very, that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. And I think it's something that a lot of people need to dive into a whole lot more, is finding things that may apply slightly and making it fit for your circumstances.
It makes total sense as you say that. And here's the other part that I want to make sure that we do, because talking about people's success is awesome. But I would bet that, JD, there's parts of the things that you're working on now. And one of the things I've seen common of the most successful people is that they're hardworking, maybe they're intelligent. But I think that one of the things that's not talked about enough in regards to the most successful people is a level of curiosity. And as I hear you talk, you have a level of curiosity that makes you look at things, and not just look at things, but it's the way you look at those things with a curious mind and a willingness to learn and an open mind to adapt to that. Right now, JD, what I'd ask you is, what is the thing that you feel like maybe you have yet to master, but you're investing time into learning to maybe close gaps for you, your team, your business? Where's your biggest area of opportunities that you're working on right now?
Managing people. I think that is one of the hardest skills to learn. And it's like, you can be a people person. I've never met a stranger. I can talk to anybody about anything, but I know that when there's a job to be done, everyone doesn't look at that job the same way that I do. I come from a background of, like I said, competition, military, airborne ranger. I want to be the 1% of the 1% when I went in. So I know that me saying, hey, call these people, here's your list, why haven't you contacted this person? I see those as wasted dollar signs. You're just throwing dollars in a trash can. But in this position, I've had to learn that there are external factors that play into this. Like, people have bad days. People, may not make the 40, 50, 60 calls that they're supposed to make that day, or the 100 calls that they're supposed to make that day, or whatever the case may be. But just knowing the people and dealing with the people and realizing that you have to treat everyone differently and think about it in their shoes compared to the way that I would think about it. Because in my mind, it's just like, get it done. Like, this is what needs to be done. This is what has to be done. But somebody else may say that, like, okay, I need to sit back, I need to analyze this, I need to look at it differently. I see a wall, you tell me to run through it, I'm going to run through it.
Yeah.
One way or another. It might take me 50 tries, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But somebody else may say, hey, listen, there's a sledgehammer over there, let me grab that.
Yeah, JD, let me tell you something. So one skill set you have, I would definitely say, for the weird part about me as a human is I'm like comparison. So I'm like looking at I look at Matt for comparison, see where someone could be better or I'm better. There's one thing that you have that's really cool, man. And I want to touch on it, but I want to get to the people part. You got this this ability to like look forward and ahead. And because of that, it's that winning aspect that you have. Like I'm not losing is your thing, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I've learned with people, and this is the biggest takeaway, I read this book called The 20-Minute Ear Fruit of Laws of Leadership. I've mentioned this a few times here on this podcast. You have to touch the heart before you grab the hand, ask for the hand. So for me, what I've learned is that as leaders and as we grow these people, because I have like 185 people in the call center. So when I'm doing this, it's like my leadership, it starts with, hey, we've got to do more for people than they're doing for themselves. But the only way for them to do what we want them to do, it's giving, not keeping, that leads to receiving. So our call center is kind of at this position of like always giving. And then to push back on, there's this big thing of culture. Culture is such a big proponent in what people do. A culture could have a standard like, hey, there's the hip hop cultures, there's a country culture. The culture can dictate even what you wear. Culture can dictate the tonality of your voice. Culture can dictate what you say. Culture dictates how you say it, right? My mom is Jamaican, I'm Jamaican. If you go to a Jamaican restaurant and you want some rice, they're going to be like, what you want? Like they want you to, what do you mean? It's like, damn, man. So every culture has something different. So what we've created here where we're at is a culture that is specific and designed for production. And what that means is it's standing up, it's walking around, loud music, wireless headsets, no cubicles, open floor, big, like, hey, I want you to walk around. I want to see you in a hallway. I want to see you kicked up with your feet, like talking to a customer. I want the customer to hear like you are comfortable, but you are active. I'm sitting up in the chair, things of that nature. So I think what we've created, JD, and something that we're really proud of is, and I think Matt has seen it, like he's came to the office and I think one guy put his head through the roof because we were just happy to see him. He just picked him up and I'm like, oh my God, I just met this guy. But it's crazy, but I believe culture also dictates how people perform. We were talking yesterday with a team and we were having these group meetings. And we're talking about the veterans, the people that have been here for 3 years. JD, Matt, there's not much I could tell someone who's been here for 3 years. There's actually some points where I'm listening to the phone call where I'm like, oh, snap, that was actually pretty good. Let me put that in my bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's actually pretty decent. You're at the point where you could teach me. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey, half this battle is about being motivated, man. And I think, JD, Matt, I think we're just motivated. We just know what needs to get done. And I think people forget what they're motivated for and what makes them tick and what makes them want something. So I just said, you know what? Stop training. If you've been here for 3 years, for the next 60 days, we're not training you anymore. You're just going to watch motivational videos. We're done. It's motivation only.
So I would say one step further than what you just said, Jason. You said half the people, you said something about like they just have to be motivated. I would tell you more than half the people don't know what they're motivated by. They don't even know what their why is. They've never even considered it. Like, so when I interview people, one of the biggest things I say is like, let's talk about what you're motivated by. What gets you excited? And the wrong answer to that question, guys, is pay. The wrong answer is pay. Because when they answer pay, there's a fleeting thing. Jason, I know you've gotten to a point in your life, in your career, where you can make a little bit more money, but it's not going to make you work until midnight.
Yeah.
But working for your team, working for your people, working for your clients, working for the things that are actually make you motivated are there. I would tell you, JD, the biggest thing, to Jason's point, I would tell you as a guy who's built dozens of teams, I've managed teams as small as 1 to 2 man teams and as big as 50 to 60 man operations in the corporate world, is you have to manage every individual as an individual. I think you manage team, but you coach people as individuals. I think that you need to know what every single one of your people's why is, and nobody is the same. If you have all the same people, you don't have the right people. Some people will be motivated by recognition. Some people will be motivated by the carrot. Some people will be motivated by the stick. Some people will be motivated by growth. Some people will be motivated by being at the top of the leaderboard. There's a lot of things that will motivate people, but if you don't know, much less if your person doesn't know what they're motivated by, then you can't coach them effectively. So I try to look at somebody who's in a leadership role as having as a leader, you have two different roles as a leader. Number one, you're a manager, and then the secondary, you're a coach. And those are two very different roles. A manager has you do the things you need to do to get the outcome. A coach is more of a mindset manager. It's more of a person who was talking to you about why you do what you do, and a manager talks more about what you need to do. And so that would be my biggest piece of advice is the people I've had the most success with are people who are always working towards a goal. And I know, Jason, one of the things you and I spoke about when I had you on my other podcast about a year ago, you talked about one of the interview questions you ask in your interview process to determine, do people set goals? When was the last time you had a goal that you accomplished? And when was the last time you had a goal that you didn't accomplish? And then also, I believe you even said, what is a current goal you're working on right now? And the answer to that question told you the mindset. Because for me, I would guess just off the little bit of time I've known about you, JD, and what I know about Jason is we always have a goal.
Yeah.
We might hit our goal, but it means now we've got a new goal. It just means we have a new target, and that target is ever evolving and ever moving. Jason, did I get your interview question right and like what you're looking for? Because I think that how you recruit also aligns with how you can ultimately coach and manage.
Yeah, the question is not what are you motivated by? What is your why? For me, it's what are your burdens in life? Like you don't need to, like JD, Matt, you don't need to tell me to wake up to get ready to make sure I put food on the plate for my daughter. You don't gotta motivate me. I don't need that. That's not my why. It's just my burden in life. I have burdens in life that give birth to why I want to be successful. My burden is my wife. I want her to have nice things. That's my burden. I just want her to have nice. It's period. End of story. She has to drive the nice car. It's just how I feel about it. It's my burden in life that I want to have it. Now, can you say it's my why? Not really. I think that life has given, or you take on burdens in life where I don't need to be refueled. I don't need to be motivated by something. It's just enough to know that my daughter needs to be fed. It's just enough. Matt, to go back on the interview questions, yeah, you were spot on. JD, one of the things that I ask in the interview question is like, what is one thing that you're currently struggling with? And they're like, what kind of interview question is that? Hey, what's one thing that you've overcome in the last year or two? Because here's the deal. I don't want to talk about, hey, I'm punctual, all this kind of stuff. Dude, I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I've done it all when it comes to it. I just need to know who you are. Are you willing to open up to me today, right now? Are you willing to tell me that, hey, man, I struggled with X, Y, and Z. Right now, I'm trying to focus on this, this, and this is what I've overcame in my life. If you can answer those three questions or those two questions, and then I ask you, what are your burdens in life? And you're like, I don't have a burden. You probably just can't work here because I'm going to have to remotivate you every day. And I don't have the energy to do it. You got to have something that you can stand on 2 feet and walk into an establishment and say, I'm here for this burden that's in my life that I have to provide for. Without that, then what's the point of working? You have no purpose. And I think that's where it comes with it.
100%.
What are your thoughts on that, JD, on what me and Matt were talking about when it comes to people? What was your takeaway on that?
Listen, number one is great advice. And you guys are spot on with managing people and coaching people, teams and coaching people. That is a 100%, like, that's the clearest way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a team has a goal, but people have problems. People have goals. People have things that they want to accomplish themselves. Just realizing when to put on which hat, I think is very important to your point. So
let me ask you this, because I know we're coming to the end here. With that being said, I know you've got a lot of things you still have yet to accomplish that you want to accomplish. I know we talked about right now you currently have an oversight over 4 stores, but the group that you work with is a very large group, and I think there's a lot more you can grow inside of the group. Maybe you don't want to share this, and if you don't, it's perfectly fine, and we can edit this question out. If we had to forecast what your goal is for 2026, what is the number one goal you would have, as we've got about 3 months to get there, and now we're starting 2026? What is your biggest goal you're walking into 2026 right now?
Gotcha. Thank you for the question. I think the biggest thing that I want to dive into is just teaching people to do what I do, teaching dealerships to do what I do. I'm not the smartest person. I'm not smart by like I'm not a brainiac or anything, but there's a difference between being smart and being intelligent, right? And can't remember, sometimes I get them mixed up, but one is just like the depth of your knowledge. The other is being able to apply knowledge quickly. This is me. I know how to take something and apply it quickly. I want to be able to provide that to people. I like as of right now I'm working on content. We're going through I'm going to create a YouTube channel, maybe post some stuff on LinkedIn, things like that. But it's basically going to be content about how to use AI for like as an everyday salesperson. Not the, like I said earlier, the $5,000 system, but the $20 Chat GPT Pro model. How do you use that to be lean, mean, fighting machine when it comes to car sales? That's what I want to teach people how to do. I want to teach dealerships how to at some point, and I don't know where my future is with but the organization knows that I have aspirations, that I have goals. I want to help as many people as possible. We talked about systems. I guarantee you that 60% of dealerships in the nation right now aren't using the systems that they have to the best of their abilities. They don't know what the features are. I guarantee you there are BDC managers out there that don't even know like all the capabilities of the CRM. They don't know how to run the reports the right way. They don't know how to find the right information that push the needle forward, as they say in the corporate world. But I want to be able to teach people how to do that and how to use technology to be able to do that. That's my main goal. I've actually been knocking around the idea of taking on like some consulting clients to see like, hey, how does this work out? How does that look? And that may be something that I need you guys for offline, is to see like, hey, how do I branch out? How do I get in contact with these people to show them that like, hey, I can teach you how to do these things the right way, how to leverage the technology that you have to have that 23% closing ratio, to have that 44 or 46% closing ratio on the phone. I can teach people how to do that because it's a system and it's scalable, and it can be used for a Ford, a Nissan, a BMW. It can be used for a chocolate bar, or it could be used for lingerie. It doesn't matter. I can
I
teach you
like
how to
that.
do it.
Yeah, JD, I know we're wrapping up, and I just want to like really compliment you on the podcast. There hasn't been a mind like yours that we've had. You are a unicorn, bro, and I want you to know that. And I think the viewers are
Thank you.
gonna that listen are gonna know that. I think whatever you do, and I have not said this on the podcast. I think whatever you do, you're gonna do great at. I think opportunity is big for you, bro. I'm not saying that from a place of I'm in opportunity. I'm just saying that it doesn't look like there's L's in your future. It looks like a bunch of W's, and I like the way
Yeah,
your mind
dollar signs,
works.
dollar
Yeah,
signs
dollar
too.
signs for sure. I love.
Hopefully.
Yeah, no, it's not even hopefully. It's just by nature. Your nature is very forward thinking. You're into the AI. You're in a good spot. I do believe the car industry would probably be the best for you. Honestly, there's just so much money here. It's like the stock market, it's the housing market, it's the car market. There's too much money. There's billionaires here, multimillionaires. It's just a great place. I think it's opportunity, but I think your dealer group has a really powerful player. I hope they know what kind of player they have and forward thinking that they have, because you might be better later than you are today. And if they can't see it, I don't know what to tell them. But man, it was really good to have you on the podcast. I was quiet most of it. I'm usually talking the whole time, but you had a lot to say. I had a lot to think about, and you made me wonder about AI a lot more than I usually do. Me and Matt usually go back and forth a little bit on it, but your perspective has definitely opened up my eyes on a few things that I'll probably get with you after this podcast on.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Listen, maybe one of these days we can have, a quick 20-30 minute session one of these times where I just show some basics to some guys or something so that like to help
Absolutely.
BDC guys just figure it all out, man. But again, guys, listen, Matt and Jason, thank y'all so much for having me, man. Like I said at the beginning, what you all are doing is a huge help to everyone. I've gotten gems like in the past 2 weeks of watching the podcast, catching up. I've gotten so many gems. I've gotten so many like little trinkets. You guys talk to Mark McCurrick. Is
Yeah,
his name McCurrick?
Bruin. Yeah.
Listen, hey, check this out. If you watch this, Mark, I want to work with you. Call me. All right. Listen, call me. We can do some things together, my man.
It's funny, Mark just accepted a role with a very large group in the state of Texas to come in and be like their director of fixed operations or something like
Listen,
that, like some major role.
call me. Listen, Texas isn't that far from me. I can get there.
I'll connect the two of you.
Thank you, man.
No
Listen, I was
problem.
in Austin last weekend for a soccer tournament. So, like, if I go for soccer, I can definitely go to make some money, man. I
Yeah.
promise you that.
Listen,
So,
and the food in Austin is amazing. I hope you ate
what?
there too. Crazy.
Yes.
My gosh.
Yes.
Best
Everything
food
is
I've ever
big in
had.
Texas, including the people, for a reason.
Yeah.
For
Hey,
sure.
where are you from, Matt?
I live in Texas, but I'm going the opposite direction right now.
Listen, Matt, we're in a little while, we're going to look up and you're going to be like, you're going to be bowled up out there on us.
Yeah, we gonna see you with the boulder shoulders.
We will try. We will try. So all of you that watched, guys, obviously, if there's anything that you took from this, all we'd ask is just comment, share, help us get this content in front of more people so that in an ideal world, we can help as many people in this industry give back as possible. And we'll link all of JD's information. Of course, Jason and my information will be in the description as well. Until next time, guys, have a great one.
Peace.